Welcome back to another Campfire Conversation. Every once in a while, someone asks a question so simple that it makes your brain stop for a second. Here's one. Suppose tomorrow morning, every radio telescope on Earth received the same transmission. Not from one of our satellites, not from one of our probes, not from some military installation, not from an internet prank. Every observatory agrees. The message came from somewhere beyond Earth. We have just received humanity's first confirmed communication from another civilization. Now here's the question. What is the scariest message they could possibly send? Most people immediately jump to the obvious answers. We are coming. We know where you are. Surrender. Resistance is futile. Hollywood has trained us to expect invasion. But I don't think that's the scariest message. Think about it. If another civilization announced they were coming, we'd have time. Maybe years, maybe decades, maybe centuries. Humanity would unite. Scientists would study. Engineers would invent. Philosophers would debate. Religions would ask new questions. Life would change forever, but we'd still have tomorrow morning. Now suppose the message simply says, you are not alone. That's probably one of the greatest discoveries in human history. Everything changes. Astronomy, biology, religion, history. The simple knowledge that someone else exists would reshape civilization, but it still isn't the scariest message. Here's the one that keeps me awake. Suppose the message begins like this. To the inhabitants of the third planet. You have an extinction-class object on a collision course with your world. Think about that for a moment. Not because they're attacking us, not because they hate us, because they're warning us. Maybe they possess telescopes beyond anything we can imagine. Maybe they've been watching our solar system for centuries. Maybe they saw something we missed, or maybe they saw it thousands of years ago. The message continues. Impact is inevitable. We estimate arrival in 14 months. We sincerely hope you can stop it. Now ask yourself something. What happens next? Not to the asteroid, to us. Do governments immediately tell the public? Or do they keep it secret while scientists desperately search for a solution? Do nations suddenly forget their differences? Would wars stop? Would stock markets even matter? Would people continue arguing over politics? Or would we finally realize that every person on this planet is standing on the same tiny blue world together? Would billionaires build shelters? Would ordinary people spend every remaining day with family? Would churches fill? Would stadiums fill? Would people finally forgive each other? Or would fear bring out the very worst in humanity? Here's another question. Suppose we learn that the civilization sending the warning cannot help us, not because they don't want to, because they can't. Maybe they're simply too far away. Imagine receiving one final sentence. We are sorry. Those 4 words might be the heaviest words humanity has ever heard. Not because they bring fear, because they bring certainty. But then another thought crossed my mind. Maybe that isn't the scariest message either. Maybe the scariest message would simply say, we've been trying to warn you for 50 years. You never heard us. Think about that. How many signals have we missed? How many messages have been buried beneath cosmic noise? How many civilizations have looked toward Earth and wondered if anyone was listening? Here's another possibility. Suppose the message simply says, do not answer. No explanation, just those 3 words. Now your imagination begins doing all the work. Why? Who are they afraid of? Who else is listening? Who are they protecting, us or themselves? Notice something. None of these possibilities are really about aliens. They're about humanity. How we react, how we think, how we love, how we fear. Sometimes I think first contact wouldn't tell us nearly as much about another civilization as it would tell us about ourselves. That's why I find these thought experiments so fascinating. Not because I believe they're about to happen, but because asking the question reveals something about the people trying to answer it. So let me leave you with one final question around tonight's campfire. If humanity received one undeniable message from another civilization tomorrow morning, what would be the scariest thing they could possibly say? I'd love to hear your answer, because I have a feeling no 2 people would answer that question exactly the same way. I'm Christy. Until next time. Keep asking questions. Keep pulling on those loose strings, because you never know where they'll lead. The fire is still burning, and we're all still here.